All trees and all life needs to be able to circulate and retain moisture, water, on its own terms. That's what this video is about. I'm going to tell you how to install sponge, where to put it for the most impact, and challenge you to get going, as well as tell you why it's important. Hey friends, this is a short video on helping your landscape be as healthy as possible. Why does it matter? Because it protects you from fire, it protects you from falling limbs during ice storms, it makes life more beautiful, and so many other reasons. So we're talking about making landscapes lush. We're localizing this video to Austin in the Central Texas area where most of our people are located. And I'm going to tell you about why sponge on your landscape is the next step you can take in making the future better for everyone. Okay, so in the Cool Austin Challenge, we talked about strategically watering big trees, big deciduous trees. In this video, we're talking about building big sponge just behind big trees on the downward slope side of your landscape. By helping the biggest trees, you help the whole landscape in the most efficient way. Your effort, your money investment, your use of the natural resources is best put into large trees. Year-round, it's best put into all large trees, the sponge. We talked about big deciduous trees in the summer because they're better at cooling things quickly, but now we're talking about all large trees, deciduous and conifer trees, all large trees. In fact, all vegetation and all soil in general, the spongier, the better. The more moisture retention, the better. But let's get started into talking about what this is and how easy it is to do it. Okay, so I'm going to try and explain sponge and slope in this really simple video with triangles. You see the tree behind me, this conifer? It's on a slope that goes that way. We've installed some sort of railroad tie type things to try and help retain moisture. But this is the problem. The water is just going to roll off of this tree downhill. And you basically want to flip that over and invert the paradigm so that the root ball has a level surface in front of it that can collect moisture. So what we would do is put a barrier closer in to this tree so that as rain or moisture rolls downhill, you've got water collecting in this pocket here of materials we've installed. And like a bathtub, you've got the wall at the back. So it'll actually sort of look like this type of structure next to the tree. And let me also show you, when you're installing these, you want to layer the materials. You just want to install your sponge in layers so that the root ball is going to have the most moisture collecting around it. But these layers, you're going to put minerals or heavy materials at the bottom, living materials or compost on top of that, mulch to shield the living materials from sunlight, wind, and aeration, drying out the life inside the mulch. And then on top of that, some sort of light cover, straw or leaves. Go light on the mulch and heavy on the straw, relatively speaking, and the things will do better. And then the other important point is that the closer you are to the tree's trunk, the lighter the materials go on. So it's going to be really thick and caked up back here like a wall. You can even use bricks and build living material on top of it. But as you get closer in, light. You want to encourage life around the root ball, but you don't want there to be fungus or some other thing growing there that's not good. You want to encourage an ecosystem of life back here in this area, and the root ball will benefit. And the two will interact. This little ecosystem you build and the root ball underneath the tree can interact year-round to exchange moisture and build up the soil system underneath, and it just goes on and on. Eventually becomes a self-sustaining and self-propagating biospheric asset. And that's what we all want. That's how we protect our landscapes from fire and freeze and other forms of extreme weather damage. This also impacts global positive change because The most beneficial way to affect global warming and the biodiversity loss crisis is to put the carbon back into the landscape and put the water back into the landscape where it belongs, circulating and keeping us all cool, healthy, and stable. Adding sponge to the landscape empowers all of this. So if you check the links below, you can find out more about how to install sponge. You can find out more about how to recover from damage from extreme weather and help your trees mend and so forth. There is a PDF, a guidance document for installing sponge. If you want to read more how-to, there's the video on how to do the trickle watering and why trickle watering is best. There are links for other types of action you can take. And then lastly, there's science on landscape and biosphere and how it is other life that brings to us the security we need to have technology, to have civilization, to argue about anything, to create a better future. We need Biosphere Earth. It begins with Biosphere Earth, biophysical reality. The remainder of this video will just be demonstrations on installing a couple of sponges. I hope you get to it this weekend or whenever you have time, and get out there and enjoy yourself, caring for the other life on the landscape. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We just have these awesome materials here. This is lava sand, premium blend, expanded shale compost. This is a mixture of leaves and shale. This Texas native hardwood mulch stuff, and then the good old pine straw as the topper. And when you look at the easy tree here, this baby, it's the slope is coming in from the road. The road is higher, and when water comes in, it rolls down. You can see, loosely speaking, that the tree's roots need something to capture the water on this side. So I'm just going to layer in really simply the lava sand, then a little bit of the hardwood mulch on top of the lava sand, then a good amount of the compost, then more hardwood mulch, and then the topper. And this will just take a few minutes. It's so easy. Here I go. All right, there's the lava sand laid out, looking up the slope. And so I just literally, it's so simple. I'm just going to contour a little rise the back here and spread this stuff around. This is nutrient poor soil, and anything you can do with lava rock in particular, this mineral rock is really good for holding moisture. So I've got a little bit of a basin now, this bathtub idea on one side. All right, and so I'm just doing a really light spread here. Don't really want the hard mulch to cover things up. I just want to put a little bit between it and the leaf compost stuff. So now I mix together my brown and red, my lava and my hardwood mulch, and I'm going to add some compost on top of the mulch, and then I'm going to add more mulch. This stuff is awesome. From the Natural Gardener Premium Leaf and Shell Compost. For this, I want to cover the whole root ball area that I'm trying to feed and keep moist. So just a little more here. You can see now we got lots of this composted leaf and shale stuff. Really build this up so that when water comes in, it gets stuck and it soaks in. And now back to the hardwood mulch. Now this is where we're really going to build the berm with this stuff. Fairly heavy here building this wall up. And now I'm pretty happy. And I'm just going to dust back over the top again. Covering my leaf compost, but I don't want too much of this hardwood mulch, because it can sort of seal up and create a barrier. So I've just got a little bit on there, and then I do the last step. Right, and so now this stuff is all in here. Still got my walls, Just going to cover this loosely. It's going to biodegrade and break down with the weather and stuff. And what's left behind is this moisture capturing half moon bathtub that's lined up with the slope of the lot to bring as much long-term moisture containment to this tree as possible. That was so easy, I'm going to do one more. All right, this one, pretty obvious where the root exposure is and the root balls are not supported. This is a very steep slope. My goal is going to be to create a little slope catchment in front of these two trunks so that when water comes around, it's more likely to be there as long as possible. These are two beautiful deciduous trees, and we want to see them secure year round. So here goes. First thing I'm doing is just taking this. There's a couple of pieces off of the old fence post supports here. I took one of the tiny sections. It's got a nail in it to go into the soil, and it didn't want to get any closer. The roots are pretty exposed again, so I'm going to leave it pretty far away from the literal root ball. I really consider that to be about here. That's maybe 2/5 of the way to the thing. But anyway, so I'm going to build with this in mind, see where we go. I dumped out the remainder of the lava sand bag. It's a lot of lava sand, but you know, not in the grand scheme of things that much. And so I'm going to use this to spread around and make that moisture pad in front of the trunks. Take some of the excess up against the wood here, and I can use it to really firm up my sort of bathtub walls, as it were. This heavy moisture holding lava sand stuff. Of course, the water is going to percolate through the sand really well, and then the media of the sand plus the minerals in it is just going to be amazing for holding moisture and for nurturing habitat for microorganisms we can't see. But so, got this stuff spread around pretty good, and now I'm going to not do hardwood mulch because we've got leaves in here. Remix them in a little bit. I'm just going to do the leaf shale on top of this and then the hardwood. Boom, there's that. That was easy. Again, I'm keeping it off of the wood. The wood will build up its own little ecosystem, and I'm using now the leaf shale compost to build up my castle walls here for the bathtub, and still kind of making sure that I've got a divot here in the middle, and I'm just going to hold as much moisture as possible when it comes down. So then here's what this looks like. Just adding forced floor around the tree trunk. Here's my hardwood mulch bag. Now I've got my structure. You can see the lava sand, you can see the compost, and you can see the mulch. And then you can also see, hopefully, this shape. That is now basically a giant sponge. Will become a living sponge in front of this little tree. So from this point, all I have to do is just throw this pine straw on top. This takes 3 seconds. Okay, I like this. It's a little sloppy. So this just gives you a quick look. I just kind of covered the structure that I built with pine straw. So here's the finished product. It's not that pretty, but it only took, I mean, this literally took about 6 minutes to get it going. So now I have the rest of my life to figure out how to make it prettier, and it's functional. I'm going to water these two things so you can see what that looks like, and that'll be it. Okay, I'm not going to worry about putting a bunch of water in this. I just want to get it moist on top. This is sort of like putting the baby to bed in the best way. The leaf compost was already moist and the mulch is kind of moist. So this should just really be enough. Okay, the exciting conclusion. Just a little water over the whole thing. And the supposedly hard one. I mean, all I really did here was get one support. You can use rocks, you can use wood, you can use broken limbs, you can use anything that is a natural material that can hold its place on the landscape. So this thing has a nail in it. The nail went in the ground, and then I just built my berm on top of that. Now I've just got something to really help these trees hold on to moisture longer. And yeah, I really don't mind if it drifts. I can always come back and build this. I can always perfect this in aesthetic ways, and I can certainly plant things in here too now if I choose. Tidy it up, hippie it up, whatever I want to do. The point is I've got the functionality here. All right, so thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you again in the future. Get out there. Let's do it. Let's make Austin and the world as lush as we can. Retain what's there and grow more. Let's do what we can do, each one of us, to make the future as bright as possible for as many people and as many other creatures as we possibly can. Thanks again for watching.